Let's say I have 2 points, here and here, and I want to know the distance from these 2 points. Well, how am I going to do it? Well, there is a formula, but I can't just count. Let's think about it another way. Let's think about if I made a triangle. So let's say I looked at the distance from here to here and here to here. If I look at that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4, and this one actually also happens to be 4. And what do I have here? I have a right triangle, right? So Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared is c squared, and c is the hypotenuse. So I can say, oh, that's 4 squared plus 4 squared is that c squared, and I have 32 is c squared, and I can find c by taking the square root. I can find a value. So that's all I'm doing is I'm finding the distance from here to here. Now let's say I was generic. I didn't know what the distance was. Well, let's name these points. Let's name these points. This point I'm going to call x1, y1, and this one is x2, y2. Now, if I was to draw those lines again, so I draw my line here, and I draw my line here, this point right here has an x value of x2, but a y value of y1. So what's the distance here? Well, the y1 and y1 is the same, so if I look at the distance, it's just how far from x1 to x2. So that distance here is x2 minus x1. And this distance, the x's are the same, so my distance is just the difference of my y's, y2 minus y1. It doesn't matter the order. I like to, for here, the bigger minus the smaller is nicer, but it just does not make a difference. Okay, so what did I do with this distance before? Well, I squared it. So I have the first distance squared, right, in my horizontal direction. I have my vertical distance squared. And that was my hypotenuse squared, or now maybe I want to call that d, so my d squared. If I want to find d, what do? I just take the square root. And there's my formula right there. The difference in the x's squared plus the difference in the y squares is the distance.